Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello. Oh my God, we are so excited. I was like, we have to hit the live button because we we were already going.
We're chit-chatting up. We actually have such fun plans. We just curated up. Well, okay, I will say, since the first conversation we had, we were talking about, you're like, yeah, I want to do retreats one day. And I was like, wait, I want to do retreats one day. And that was one of our like connections. And that is today. We're finally kind of putting the roots down. The seeds are getting planted for what's going to come.
Yeah,
I'm so
we
excited.
are so excited. I mean, and it's just we're talking about all the things that we want to do together and like the visions that we have in terms of creating community and like bringing everyone together. And I'm getting chills as I'm saying this, like right down my crown chakra. It's like, how can we bring people together in a way where we can all feel safe and supported talking about these types of topics together and exploring our gifts and just feeling connection in a way where we don't have to mask.
Mm,
And I just think like retreats, there's so many retreats out there, obviously, but to be able to put something together that is so curated, like channeled, that just feels really sacred and good and in nature. Oh my God. So, anyway, Lauren and I we're doing it.
we are doing it. I just have this vision. I've never been in community and circle before with
Mhm.
like other people and just the power of that. And it makes me think of the three, is it the Three of Cups in tarot? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, which one?
Where they're like,
Yeah,
you need
that's
community.
Three of
Yeah.
Cups.
That's what it reminds me of just like people coming together. My
Yeah.
deck has like people holding hands, and I'm like, the power of that
Yeah.
and the intention of all of us coming together with the same, like our intentions being magnified. Oh my God.
I mean, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be so catalytic. I think that's the right word for it too. Cause like we come in and then we leave and everyone feels just energized and like we have everyone has people now. I mean, I have met some of my closest friends on this journey, like just through retreats. And I haven't even done that many retreats, but it's like the ones that you feel pulled to, not just because like, oh, I want to go to a retreat and this one is available, but like, no, I really connect with the energy of these people. I connect with the energy of this retreat. Like that's how you know there's going to be people there for you. There's going to be an experience there for you. Anyway, oh my God, the more I talk about this, the more I'm like, we need to get offline and talk about this later. But can
Well,
do you want to mention how like like our astrology, like what the pole is there with why we're talking
yes,
about this right now? Okay.
absolutely. Okay, so 11th house is community and groups of people, networks, and in whole sign and in Placidus for me, it's Leo, and for Placidus for you, it's Leo. And so right now, the sun is at the final degrees of Leo, and we're having this idea, and the sun is consciousness. It's kind of like that where
Hmm.
the spotlight is, like we needed to really pay
Yeah.
attention to this area. And then fast forward on the 22nd, I think sometimes people will be like the 23rd, depending on time zone. We have the new moon in Virgo, which is kind of launching the seeds that were being planted right now. And then what's really fun about it is my sun is in Aquarius and your moon is in Aquarius, which
Hmm.
rules community. And ours are together. They're a degree off. And it's in the fifth house of creation. So I just feel like this was really meant for us to start
Yeah.
now because then in 6 months from now, when it's Aquarius season, it's the first eclipse in Aquarius. I have a
Hmm.
feeling the ball will be, it'll either be then, honestly, since you will be back in
Yeah.
the States by then, or it
Yep.
will be close to then.
So exciting. And I love, once again, just with astrology, human design, like I just feel it's so nice to feel cosmically validated, like in the timing of everything, right? Like these are when the seeds are planted. These are when I talk about, like, you and I were just talking about this, but how and we can talk more about this too, but like we were talking about how delusion is such a key factor for manifesting your dream reality, like allowing yourself the permission to like live in that space before your external reality reflects where you're going, like where your heart vision, as I call it, is leading you. Like this is where creation happens, is in the void, like when things aren't necessarily matching up yet, but just trusting, like trusting the pull, trusting the nudge, even when things don't make sense, and you just keep being led by that vision, by that heart vision. And it's so cool to know like this is where we're being led right now, even though we don't know what it looks like or how it comes into fruition. These are the seeds being planted, and then we'll be able to harvest them.
Yes. And it was funny that you say that because I actually was on a intro call for my coaching program yesterday. And this client literally lived that to a T. So also Spirit did some magic, but the first time we were supposed to do
Hmm.
it was a time zone issue. So we like missed each other. We rescheduled for yesterday. On the way home from work to get to this call, she was fired. And I was like, "Oh my god." So in my mind, it's like, "Oh, I get it. Like you definitely don't have to sign on right now." And she was like, "I might be delusional, but X amount of money to understand my soul's purpose, there's no
Yeah.
way. Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
down." And I was like, "Hell yeah." And she's like, "Literally, I'm just feeling so pulled. I saw you. I've never reached out to a creator before. And I just this whole experience, I just feel like I'm being pulled." And then she goes to
Hmm.
start taking my astrology courses, and she's like, "I don't know why. I don't know." I'm like, "Well, clearly you're just tapped in, and that is why."
I mean, clearly her soul knows something that she doesn't know yet. Like
And
that's
she's a
how
Virgo
this
sun.
works.
Yeah, she's a Virgo
Oh my
sun. I'm like,
God.
"It's
I
coming."
mean, that's truly like this is how it works though. Like the people who have reached out to me, it's kind of the same thing. Like I've never reached out to a creator before. I've never like done anything like this. I feel like this is a leap and it is. Like it is a leap to like sign up for something about like developing your psychic and or mediumship skills or like saying, "Yeah, I'm actually ready now to like do the work, do the inner work that is going to allow me to quantum leap to the level in my life that I'm trying to get to." Like I'm ready to actually look my fears in the eye and, and work through what it means. And this is the other thing is like, it doesn't ever require the amount of work that people think it does. Like, oh, it's like going to take you. I can't even tell you how many clients have been like, I know this is going to take years to like get to this mindset that I want to have. And I'm like, well, let's look at that belief system first, because why is there a belief system still running within you that says that it has to take years? Like that's where we start, right? But and so like I love that like that's what your client was bringing to you. It was like, I don't know why, like I know I just got fired and it might be delusional, but I need to do this. And it's like, yeah, this is the work. Like if you feel like you are being pulled or nudged to start exploring something that is speaking to your soul more, even when your external reality is like, this doesn't make any sense, there's a reason for that.
Mhm. And I think it goes to exactly what you're saying is like that scarcity mindset
Mhm.
because one, the theory of work hard to be successful. Since the day we
Yeah.
are born, that is told to us, like, work hard, work hard, work hard. You're not working hard
Yeah.
enough. Like, oh my god, sports,
Exactly.
school,
Oh my
anywhere.
God.
That was the narrative, the belief.
That's there. Yes. And that's, oh my God, Lauren, so I'm going through final edits in my book, which is being published in just a few months. And I'm like, I need to make sure it's perfect. Like my Virgo rising energy is coming in. And it's like, Marston, it's your story based on your lived experience. Like there is no like get it better or like this is just it. I was reflecting, and as I'm rereading it and kind of like making small tweaks here and there,
Yeah.
I've been getting so emotional because I've been going through all the versions of me who have had all of these limiting beliefs. And it's just so wild to reflect. Like I was a competitive swimmer, and I don't know if you and I have even talked about this, but
Mhm.
I missed my Olympic trial cut in 2012 by 8/100ths of a second, which is essentially like a fingernail. And I look back at how good at psyching myself out I was. Like I was so, and this is like where all this comes into play is like I was so tapped in, but I didn't know I was tapped in. So I was gaslighting myself like every which way. And I didn't even realize the limiting belief systems under which I was operating at the time. And it's interesting to look back and be like, oh my God, if I knew what I know now in this embodied place that I'm in,
Yeah. Of
I would have for sure gotten that Olympic trial cut. I would have like all these things, but it was never meant to actually happen that way, of course. And
course.
I was always like, I sacrificed everything, right? Like I gave up school dances. I was up at 4:42 a.m. every morning for my first practice of the day. I gave up everything for swimming, like for these goals. And then I did swim Division 1 only to tear my hip flexor freshman year and have to retire early from the sport altogether. And like there's this, which led to a whole identity crisis of sorts in its own right. But I look back and I'm like, I had the belief system that I had to work my ass off. And I remember the universe showing me at the time, I talk about this now, how we'll be presented information in our external reality that shows us our own potential. And I remember one of my dear friends on my swim team would piss me off to no extent because she had such natural talent. And I mean, she would cut corners in practice all the time and just didn't really work hard, but she would always, always, always outperform. And it's because she just never questioned that she would. She always just assumed she would get a best time, of course. And she made it to the Olympic trials. And it's just funny. Like, I remember it's like knowing what I know now in the conversations that you and I are having and what I'm talking to my clients about. I look back on my own life and all the ways that this was presented to me, but I just couldn't see it for what it was,
Mhm.
you
Yep.
know?
Yeah, and yes, because you couldn't see it for what it was, but then also the other side of it, which is just such a weird concept to grasp, is it wasn't supposed to be. So it's
It
like
wasn't supposed to
it's
be.
such a weird dynamic. I was a competitive cheerleader, very similar experience in the sense of gave up everything for it,
Yeah,
somewhat, but it did lead me to where I am now, right? Like, if you think about swim, like, how many
exactly.
things did you learn along the way to prep you for this moment right now? Writing
Oh
a
my
book,
God.
about to launch it, like, that competitiveness,
Yes,
the ability to
yes.
keep going, like, I do feel like those sports this is an interesting topic. I feel sports is amazing because it's the first community you feel as a kid, right? Like, you're
Yeah.
a team,
Hmm.
you're working, and it goes back to the retreat. I don't know why it's still on our minds right now, but, like, that community feel, and I remember
Yeah.
I posted this TikTok, and it was in the beginning of my TikTok journey, and I was at an NFL game, I was at the Seahawks, and I truly love professional sports just because the atmosphere, like, the entire stadium is going. Now, I
Same.
get it,
Hmm.
NFL, there's problems with it, I
Right.
get it, but I posted about how fun it is to be in one space where it doesn't matter your belief systems. You're all
Yeah.
cheering for one thing, and someone was like, "You," very, very mean, and was started bullying me, and was like, "I'm not gonna stop bullying you until you block me," and was like, "NFL is so problematic," and, like, was, like, spamming my page, and I was like, "I totally get that, but, like, that wasn't my point of the NFL
Right.
video, it was about community." So I will never forget that. That was the first time I got bullied on TikTok. But anyways, it really is an energy shift of just like everyone's coming together, whether you're a fan, whether you're part of the team. I don't know where I went down that rabbit hole, but
No, I
I
love
really miss
that.
it in that way.
Yeah, and it's so true. Like, that is the epitome of sports, and I write about that too. Like, it's um we had a really abusive coach, like several abusive coaches, and which is very unfortunately very common in competitive athletics. And it's, like, there's trauma bond. I don't have to tell the licensed therapist about trauma bonding, but like it's a thing, right? And so like our team came together in such strong camaraderie from this continued, abuse in
Yeah.
multiple ways, and
Yes.
sacrificing absolutely everything that we had for the sake of competition, for the sake of the sport,
Mm.
and doing what we were told we needed to do. And so, to your point, like, it was part of the story, and it is part of the story, and it is who I am today. Like, it's interesting. I was talking to someone earlier about like professional speaking, like public speaking,
Yeah.
and she was talking about how she prices herself, and she was like, I don't price myself based off of how long I'll be talking, or even like the audience that I'm talking to. What I'm price myself based off of is a lifetime of experience that you are getting through this one curated talk. And I loved that because, like, I feel like that's what we're doing here is like, this is the culmination of all these experiences that made us who we are. And we can say this for anyone, right? Like, whoever you are in your life, what you're doing, like, never, and this is getting down a whole other rabbit hole, but like, never devalue yourself or think less of yourself because you're quote unquote not qualified, or like you still have those limiting belief systems, right, that say like, well, I need to work harder to get here and then I'll be able to do this, or I and then I'll be able to make this money. No, like, there's a version of you that exists in the quantum field right now. You can
Yeah.
just align to her or to him or to them, and like, you have a lifetime's worth of experience already that there are people out there who would value no matter what.
Mhm. Absolutely. I mean, I do always battle with the structure that society has put of you have to go to school for this amount of years, then you have to practice for this amount of years, and then you can call yourself a professional, right? Like there's so many
Exactly. Yeah.
mental structures. And then I also, again, see the flip side of it of like, yeah, studying under someone to ensure I'm thinking about it like a therapist, right? That you're not
Right.
inflicting more wounds is important. So
Right.
it's just such an
Right.
interesting concept of what is truly suppression and what do we
Yeah.
need? Because we in our
Mm,
work now, like we practice, right? Like this has been
yes.
nurturing and practice and not just doing it. I guess really it comes down to why are you doing it? Are you doing it from the ego or are you doing it
What's the
truly because
why?
you're led in service? Yeah. And then if you are that,
Yes.
harm won't happen because you're leaving from your heart.
Yes. I mean, that's exactly, and that's where I think I'm being pulled right now to talk about the synchronicities from the universe. Like this is where we allow ourselves to be guided by our higher consciousness, by our intuition, and this is where we like it's about, are we forcing this to happen because we think it's what we should be doing and it's what we want to happen and it's the only path we see, or are we being divinely led? Are we being led by spirit here? Like are the signs in place? And it's interesting, so I'm in Dublin right now, and earlier today I was having lunch and I was at this pub listening to live music, and I happened to feel like I wanted to sit next to this girl that was a couple seats down, mostly because I would get a better view of the live band, but I also just felt like I needed to be there. And I sat down next to her. She gets to talking. She goes, "Oh, are you here alone too?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And we get to talking. She's from New York, and um, she starts talking about how, like somehow death comes up, and like how her dog had died, and how she like saw a meet her family wanted to see a medium, and it's just interesting how we got to talking in this way. And I was like, well, it's interesting. She asked me what I do, and I was like, well, I used to work in finance, and this whole story I told her, the surface level version of the story. But I was like, I'm actually a medium, and I help people in this way now. I help people connect with their loved ones, and help with them, get clarity on guidance moving forward on their path. And we were just talking. She was like, I was in such a bad negative mood all day today because she actually had just broken up with her girlfriend, and her girlfriend was going to a different place. So they were scheduled to go on a trip together. And she was like,
Oh.
so I just last minute booked this trip to Dublin. I've never been to a different country on my own. Like I've just been sitting here reeling, thinking what a mistake I made. And then you sat down and we started talking about this, and I just can't help but feel like this isn't coincidence.
Mm.
And I was like, that you just hit the nail on the head. Like, I don't think there is coincidence. This is synchronicity. This is the universe showing you that you're exactly where you're meant to be right now. And
Mhm.
funnily enough, her dog actually ended up coming through. It was just like kind of a funny moment. But I feel pulled to talk about this because it just goes to show, like, when we are on the right path, even when we're like second guessing it and we're like, am I supposed, like she was like, am I ready to travel alone? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? I sat next to her and we had this very serendipitous conversation. And then for me, because we're both mirrors, I am once again reminded by the universe that I'm meant to be doing this work as well,
Mm.
and that I'm also exactly where I'm supposed to be. And so I feel like when we can view it like this, right? Like, okay, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing because I'm viewing everything as synchronicity and I'm being led this way, versus like when there's an obstacle, like when I was going to initially send out that first community newsletter that I was telling you about. And everyone, I've had so many people be like, hi, like, when are you sending out this monthly newsletter, monthly community thing? Because I keep putting it out there and then I like don't do it. And I'm like, well, I keep running into roadblocks. Like I kept having all these obstacles happen. And rather than forcing it into place, I'm waiting until it can feel I can do it with more ease. And
Mhm.
like I view that as like co-creating with the universe.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we're trying to do here.
Mhm. Yeah, and really allowing well, we're both manifesting generator. You're a generator though,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in human design.
Manifesting generator. Mhm.
Oh, you are an MG.
Yeah. Mhm.
Ah, love it. Um, uh, but I do feel like for generators and MGs, because I feel like we're lucky that our sacral does guide us. Because when you are in flow, it's
Mhm.
just like, yep, yep, like you are being so led. Can't speak for anyone else because I don't
Yeah.
know what it's like to be a projector, or anything like that, or a reflector. But
Mhm.
it really does make me stop when I'm forcing. Because now that I have the language of human design and understand it, I'm like, "Oh, I'm not in flow,"
Yeah.
because it's when you're in flow, you feel that fire in your tummy and you're just like today, we're so excited to chat, like, you just get buzzy,
You
and
feel
when you're
it.
forcing, you just know, like, your body's like, "Nope," and it's so hard to get out of your mind to be like, "It's okay to get offline today. It's okay just to rest today," because your body's telling you, but the mental programming, it's so hard sometimes to get through that.
It is. And I think about, I love that you brought up human design because, you think about like like sacral authority, which I am. And I think you said you are sacral as well.
Yeah.
But then there's like the emotional authority as well. And I think about like for generate, right? Like there's all these different, there's
Yeah.
emotional authority, there's splenic authority for projectors. Like if you think about like someone who's a projector who needs to be invited, or receive an invitation, and like a projector who is trying to like force her way or to like use her voice in a way where she's not really being invited to do so, she's going to just feel like her voice is falling flat, and she's going to feel like she's forcing things. And so like all it takes is someone extending, not necessarily like a formal invitation, like here's your
Yeah.
invitation to speak, but like giving her the space to do so, where she can then allow herself to be in flow. Like we all know what that flow feels like to us, but you're to your point, like we have that kind of like buzzy feeling in our stomach, and we're like, oh yeah, like let's go. We're just like like firecracker, like lighting off left and right, but it feels different for other people. And so I think that's where I come back to how important it is to like, again, know your body, like not your not your conditioning, your true blueprint, your true body, because your body's always going to lead the way. And I think for people who don't know their body and don't know what it feels like to be led in the way that they're meant to be led, they get physically sick or they get injured or they just get all these roadblocks, and they feel stress, and it just feels frustrating, right? Like there's like the like everything, all energy exists on a spectrum of potential, and so they're just experiencing this side of the spectrum, and they don't understand why, because it's how they've taught to operate like a generator, because everyone
Yeah.
is.
'Cause 70% of the population, I think, right? 70 to 75 are
Yep.
generators, and so
Hmm.
it's really been
Hmm.
curated for that. It makes me okay, I just had this flashback. I was in my coaching session, like, I was the client, and
Hmm.
my coach knows human design, and she was like, "Well, trying to walk me through why I'm not in my body." And this loops back to competitive sports and abusive coaches because I believe, well, at least what happened to me, and I'm sure what happened to you, is you are pushed to the edge and they don't
Yep.
care what's happening. I was doing a back tuck, so it's like a backflip. And I was
Hmm.
young. I was like maybe in fifth grade. And then we didn't have spring floor. So it's literally just a mat on the ground. And I was laying on my face over and over and over again. I could not do it yet. And my coach was like, I don't care, Lauren, you're not being spotted. Get it together. And the other coaches felt so uncomfortable because I'm just sobbing, landing on my face. And it
Yeah.
just I didn't even think about that memory, but my coach had me walk through a visualization and she's like, when were you not listening to your body? And then all of a sudden it was like a thread of how many times in cheer were we pushed to the
Hmm.
brink of our bodies. We were scared to say anything. And it literally programmed us out of our bodies to not listen to it. And now as an adult, it's like, oh, I have to listen. And this goes for all sports, right? Like you were literally told to go to the brink. And I think it's an interesting concept from such a young age of how often we're told not to be in our bodies when that's the key.
I mean, that's, you hit the nail on the head. And this is something that comes up all the time in my coaching sessions. I like in my wealth consciousness sessions, but also like just coaching in general. We do timeline work like this, where I'll have the client like take me back to a moment in time where they felt, we identify the limiting belief system, and then we go to a time where they felt that way. And so
Mhm.
it just like you said, it's then you that allows you, because because the present moment is just, everything is an expanded present moment. So the present moment is always informing the past and the future, because there really is no past or future in quantum time. We experience it that way, but that's not really the case. It's all spatial. So if we can take ourselves to a nexus point in time in our past, we can't necessarily change that event per se, but we can certainly change our perspective and our perception of it. And so it's kind of like stitching, like you said, pull that thread, right? We're stitching together the fabric of our different timelines that have caused us dissonance.
Mhm.
Oh, this is where I felt separated and disconnected from my body. This is how we stitch together this version of me and this version of me with a golden thread. And this is how we allow ourselves to move forward more seamlessly, so we can stop those belief systems right in their tracks, because there's still something in my subconscious that says this serves me, because I still don't feel safe unless I have this belief system running. So what's the reason I don't feel safe without this belief system? And it always inevitably ties back to something that happened in our past that disconnected us or taught us that we are not safe unless XYZ, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's really EMDR. Have you heard of EMDR?
Yes, I've never done it, at least not like technically speaking, but
Yeah. I
yes.
mean, your timeline work is EMDR. But anyways, I'm
Yeah.
a trained EMDR therapist, and it's just a trauma type of therapy, which is
Mhm.
extremely effective, right? Because you are literally having your client, we call it float back to the earliest memory of the belief that is impacting them. And my most powerful sessions were birth. And it was literally they could tap
Yeah.
into their self coming down the canal. And it is crazy. There was a one past life session I did, which was like not meaning to. And I kind of felt like Dolores Cannon, where it just kind of like came up and they're like, this is now
Yeah.
my life. But
Okay.
we went with
Yeah.
it. It was crazy. But
I love that.
I
Mhm.
was like,
I mean, like,
okay.
we're rolling with it. Yeah.
Yeah, she like got to baby. She's like, no, there's more. And when she got, well, I was like, okay. Anyways, but those were really powerful when they came from birth, because it was the moment
Ultimate
this
trauma.
whole came. Yep, of like I'm here, and that was scary, and I almost died, and with birth trauma and da
Mhm.
da da, and it was the whole thing. And what's cool is what they found, which is what timeline work is as well, is that when you heal that belief, all the different beliefs within that pod are then automatically healed as
Yeah.
well.
Oh,
So sometimes you have to do
yes.
tune-ups, right, with other memories if they're a little bit more severe, but it is powerful. It is so powerful.
Yes. I mean, I think that's so cool because I had never heard of EMDR before. Um, but I was intuitively pulled to do this work with my clients, and I just didn't know that it was EMDR. And I think it's so cool. It's like, oh, of course this is what was coming through as like an exercise to do, right? Like,
Yeah.
because it's so real. It's quantum. And like I love that is I love this. I love this so much. I mean, it makes
Yeah.
me think of what a memory I have was when I was 15, and oh my God, I was on this swim team in Kansas City that like was notorious as being like the most extreme, intense premier swim team. Like, people were scared of it. And for good reason. And I was like I was one of the youngest ones. I just started my freshman year of high school,
Mhm.
and I was on the team with like kids who were like juniors, seniors who were like going to the Olympic trials. Some of them actually ended up like competing at the Olympics and winning medals. Like, it was like very severe, very intense. And I'll never forget one practice. I am in excruciating pain. My abdomen just starts, like, it feels like it just explodes.
Mhm.
And we're forced to keep going. Like, this is a team where we were not allowed to miss a single practice unless an immediate family member died, not including grandparents. And so yeah, and like it was they held you to that. Like, you were kicked off if you skipped. And so basically I just remember feeling so terrible because I had just made it into this level of the team, and I was like,
Yeah.
I can't like dip out now. And like but I am doubled over in pain. So I get out, talk to my assistant coach, and I was like, I feel like something's seriously wrong. Like, I cannot stand up. There's something it's in my side. I don't know what's happening. And she she literally goes, suck it the fuck up. You're probably just ovulating. And I was like, and mind you, I had only been menstruating at that point for like less than a year. So ovulation itself was something, once again, a whole other conversation for us, but I had never been taught what that is or what that feels like in the body.
Never.
So, and I'm immediately, like, I get back in the water, I try to push through it. I finally realize, no, like, there's something, a deeper voice in me that's like, just go. And so I got out of the pool at the other end, ran to the locker room, threw on clothes, and drove myself to the hospital. And I was like, something's wrong. Like, I need something here. And they did, I think they did a CAT scan. They had me drink a liquid that like made
Oh.
my
Mhm.
organs glow. And because it was on the side of my appendix, and they're like, this could be appendicitis. But what it was a ruptured ovarian cyst.
Oh,
And it was
yeah.
massive. And they were like, it ruptured. And they were like, it's a really good thing you came in, because if this were to keep, if you like hadn't done anything with this, number one, it could have had other ramifications. But number two, this would happen every cycle. So they had to like put me on birth control immediately to regulate my hormones, because they were like, this will happen every cycle otherwise, which is like a whole other conversation too. But I remember going back to practice the next day, and I told my assistant coach, like, it was a ruptured ovarian cyst. And she was like, see, I told you, you were just ovulating. And I was like, oh my God. So anyway, like that, but like that point, it was nothing that I thought would be traumatic. Like it obviously was at the time, but it's interesting how much we normalize
Yep.
these types of things, right? Like, so we just normalize them, but we don't realize how our body stores them.
100% because it was normal, which it's interesting now because I have a close friend that still coaches cheer at the gym I grew up at, different ownership. And how
Mhm.
different it is now. And it's an
Yeah.
interesting cultural concept of people are like, oh, kids are like so weak now. And I'm like, wait, is it because they're not being abused at practice? Like it was
Right.
actually
Yeah.
it's such an issue in whatever sport it was. And I do think there is something for mental toughness, and there is a lack in
Hmm.
that right now, absolutely.
Hmm.
But I do think people, older generations, like measure it to like how coaches are different now. But I'm like, no, they're allowed to actually have feelings at the gym. Like she's like, you have no idea how different
Yeah.
it is. We honor it. The practices are a lot shorter. We're not allowed to swear. You're not allowed to have their phone numbers because unfortunately, I have 4 ex coaches in jail for child.
Yep.
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 And so it's like, you can't have numbers. I'm like, oh, wow, rules and regulations. Like, what a concept.
I mean, it's insane. And like speaking to that point, I remember being in middle school and we had, I don't know what organization it was, but like they came to talk to us about child predators and like to be careful on the internet.
Yeah.
I will never forget this moment. We're sitting and watching a TV screen and they're showing us all these child predators. And I see a picture of one of my swim coaches like on the screen. And he had like a girl on our team. He had like preyed upon online basically and like had her number and was like, so they met up and the FBI caught him because her parents knew and got involved. But like so many people that like don't get that lucky, you know? So anyway, like to your point, it's mind, body, spirit. It's everything is involved. Like, what if we took into account like our mental health, our physical health, and our emotional health? Like, what better athletes we could be, and also just the power of visualization too. Kind of circling back to that. Like, what if we explored the fact that it goes beyond our success is dependent upon what's beyond the five senses. The five senses interpret what our mind has already created, because our physical reality is already operating on a lag indicator. It's
Mhm.
a result of what we've already created, right? So like what if athletes, I mean, and just obviously anybody, what if we as a species understood our inherent power and what we're capable of creating, which happens beyond the five senses and involves, it's not like, what if we knew that our bodies also would reflect back to us what's going on inside? So physical illness, cancer, injuries, that's all a result of something energetically that's happening inside of us. And like, what if we worked with those energies together to harmonize those rather than just putting a band-aid on a bullet wound,
Mhm. Yeah,
you know? And like that's
absolutely.
big pharma conversation too, but
Yeah, I was gonna say there's so many things there, which is how they've built the system to be so hard to collapse. Because there's like
yep.
every single it's so systemic and like you could pull
Yes.
from so many things. And okay, I'm really bad with names and I don't watch podcasts or movies or anything. So I know you're probably gonna know. Thank God. So did
Maybe.
you see the new interview of that neuroscientist, that woman?
Tara,
That
Yeah. Tara S.
I don't
Swain, Tara Swain. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
yeah, and how I mean, the whole episode, I've seen clips. I need to watch the whole thing because it looks so good. But I mean, just the one quote of not only is trauma in your body, but wisdom is too. And like that is literally what you're also saying is like we can work with the trauma. We also have inherent wisdom beyond the five senses that we all
Yes.
have.
This is what I talk about with knowledge versus wisdom. Wisdom is embodiment. Like anybody can have knowledge, anybody can read a book, anybody can learn something, right? But wisdom comes from embodiment and experience. Like it is already in the body. And this is why I talk about, like, I just posted a video about how I was doing a psychic channeling session for someone. And it was interesting because what was coming through was her guides were showing her like sketching out symbols in her journal. Like it was very vivid and it was for a tattoo. And I was like, okay, are you like thinking about getting a tattoo? And she was like, well, it's something I've kind of been considering. She's going through a big transition in her life. She's moving. And she's like, yes, but like, I just don't know. And I was like, your guides are showing you sketching out in your journal specifically these symbols. And she was like, I really like haven't been doing that. Like, I mean, I journal, but I'm not like sketching anything really. And I was like, okay. And I was about to drop it. Then I realized my right hand on the blanket I was sitting on was tracing the shape of a spiral. And I wasn't aware of it. I was doing it unconsciously. And I'm guided to look down at my finger and I see it tracing the spiral. And then I'm guided to look at my own Fibonacci sequence tattoo on my wrist. And I go, they're drawing my attention to the Fibonacci sequence. And she just goes, oh my God, I totally forgot. Like 3 months ago, I was sketching the Fibonacci sequence in my journal. I was doing sketches in my journal. And like, I was thinking about doing something like Fibonacci related. I totally forgot about that. And I was like, your guides are like, they want you to kind of reapproach that, like circle back with that. And she was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that. And so it's one of those things, like I was about to just leave it because she was like, it's not really resonating. And I was like, huh, okay. So I'm not going to like, keep pulling that thread. But
Yeah.
my body was telling me, my body was like, no, keep going. Like there's something else here. But I wasn't consciously, my brain hadn't caught up. I wasn't consciously aware of that. So
Mm.
I think that's a great example of like, our bodies always know before our minds can catch up, and to trust that.
Wow. First, that's beautiful. Like, I'm like, that is just
Yeah,
the validation in that moment that I'm sure you're just like, well, like it just lights you up as a practitioner when you say
it
something and then
does.
you're like,
Yeah.
and then it really is it. And you're like, oh my God, that's so cool. Anyways,
Yes,
because it's back.
totally.
It's actually,
It's back. I was like, yes.
yeah, it's so
But
cool because
it is magic.
yeah.
Mhm.
And to loop back to EMDR, it just really that was coming in really strong because when you're doing EMDR as a practitioner, so basically it's eye wrap and movement. So you're moving their eyes left to right, whether it's a light, whether it's a wand, you can do it with a hand, like it's anything. And then you're only asking what is coming up for you right now. Yes, they can say mental stuff, but mostly it's in the body. So the most
Yeah.
powerful sessions is, oh, my heart. So we start with memory, we call lighting it up. We ask all these questions to make it so detailed, right? And they're almost like watching it through a train window. And then they start going and they're like, my stomach, I feel like I'm going to puke. Da, 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 da. And they're like getting it out of the body. And as a therapist, you don't say anything because you do not want them in the mind. You just say, okay, go with that. So you're not
Mhm.
mentally guiding them. You're just allowing them to somatically bring everything up from the body. And I've had people puke. I've had people scream. I've had people cry. And it's wild that when you put your mind at rest and you literally just let the body speak, how much comes through. But we are so trained to listen to the mind.
Yeah.
So it just remind me of that, of like, wow, like really listening to your body, it guides you every step of the way and how much it holds without us even knowing how much it's holding from not just this life, all lives.
Yes. Oh my God, you're exactly right. And that's from all lives.
Mhm.
And that's the thing. Like we've been so conditioned to not trust the body. Like we come into this world and our bodies know. Like as kids, we're tapped in
Mhm.
more than we realize. And then we're quickly taught how to acclimate, like how to be normal, how to be human, and how to be in the five senses, how to be in the third dimension. And I think about, Tara's interview, right? Diary of a CEO. And it's amazing because it's frustrating for me in many ways because I'm like, mystics, healers, seers, like intuitives, we've all known this for so long. And now we have a neuroscientist coming out basically saying, like, yes, you can communicate with your loved ones on the other side. Yes, mediumship and psychic abilities are real. Yes, interdimensionality is real. And like, I'm very thankful because, like, the more people that come into this awareness, obviously, the better. And there are people that need like cold, hard, tangible proof before they believe these things. And I think even with her, I think like there are people that are kind of saying like, okay, well, why is she not presenting like cold hard proof with this if she's a neuroscientist? And she's writing a book, or she already wrote one. I'm not entirely sure, but she is presenting like proof. But here's the thing is like, the people that like they don't want to believe that there is more for them, because they kind of almost enjoy in a weird way subconsciously being in the victim mentality or being limited by physicality. Like, they're not going to take this proof. They're it's never going to be enough, right? Like they're always going to need more to believe more. And I think that's where like taking accountability and ownership over your own life and over your own potential comes in. It's so much easier for people to say like, we need a savior, or like there is, because I'm not capable of expanding myself into experiences like this, because that would require inner work. And I'd much rather just say it's not possible and it doesn't exist unless you can drop this proof off on my doorstep.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And the
Hmm.
other side of it, me that's coming up with that is 100%. And I battle with this with like loved ones where I'm
Hmm.
like, it's been 5 years of the same shit. Like, take
Hmm.
responsibility at this point in your life. The other side of me understands that I don't know if they enjoy it, more so they're chemical dependent, right? Their brain is chemically
Right.
dependent on trauma, on these beliefs.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
it's firing and it's wanting that next hit of dopamine, of victimtality. And that's what's so
Yes.
hard is there's,
It's not a conscious enjoyment. It's what
yeah,
they're used to. It's like eating candy. Like, it's not good for
literally.
you, right? It's addictive. Yeah.
It's addictive. We are addicted to chaos. We're addicted to trauma. We're
Hmm.
addicted to victim mindset,
Yeah.
which is why they feed it on our algorithm and they feed it constantly to keep us in the loop. And so I
Hmm.
just always sit with this because what I'm realizing about myself is I'm pretty gullible, like human, just in general. Like I want to
Yeah.
trust.
Everyone is. Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some people are a little bit more like, I see through your bullshit. And I'm like, well, they are a good person. So I think that
Yeah.
gets me
Well,
into trouble because I
yeah.
do understand innately that like they're just going through trauma, they're just going through that. But then it's like, at
Yeah.
what point is it your responsibility? I got to mirror back to you that and I got
Hmm.
to walk away. Like it's just a really interesting concept of both. Like, where's that
It
line? And
is.
yeah.
It is. It is. And it's hard. Like, I used to be like the same way, and very, very gullible, but because it was like very, seeing the best, like seeing the
Yeah.
light,
Seeing the
seeing
soul. I
like,
always say you see the
yeah, the
soul of the
soul.
person.
Yes. And that also got me into a lot of situations that were not preferred. And like now I have like kind of a harder edge, but like also it's more discerning. It's just more, it's like using more discernment. You can still
Mm.
be in the highest vibration of love and authenticity and choosing to see the light. And it's like the example of like, just because someone comes and knocks on your door because they need a place to sleep, and that's the nice thing to do, is to open your door, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have the best intentions for you.
Mhm.
Like, it's like,
Mhm.
where do we use discernment in this? Like, you can still like, you have to like pour, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
um and
So
it's like,
true.
how many times, so like, there's so much of this is what.
You're like, "How many times?" I'm like, "Yeah, literally, I just had that conversation. How many times am I gonna let someone do this to me before I'm like, no."
Yeah, well, it's true. It's true. And it's hard to strike that balance, especially when we're in a society that preaches being selfless, like putting others before yourself always. And it's like, okay, then we feel guilty when we put ourselves first, but you can't. I come back to like, you can't pour from an empty cup, but like, put on your oxygen mask first too, because like, you're not serving anybody else by being an unhealed, watered down version of yourself. And I'm not saying anyone is ever fully healed. Like, that's a misnomer too. But you will be so much better, not just for yourself, but for all the people in your life, if you do put yourself first in terms of following your north star and filling up your cup in a way that feels authentic to you, because that's only going to help you step into your potential and your higher vibration more, which will then in turn actually allow you to show up better for the people in your life and use discernment. Like, there's like something about showing strength with the love.
Yeah.
Like it's
And I
both.
think
It's both. Hmm.
it's both, and I think that's part of being human. Well, fuck the polarity. I I feel like that
Yeah.
keeps this and all episode, like, this is
And
true and this is true. And I do think that's part of why Earth is so hard. It's like balancing the self
Mhm.
versus others on the Aries Libra axis, the Leo Aquarius axis.
Yeah.
Yeah, polarity, Gemini Sag. Wow, interesting. Air, the masculine energy of Earth is really interesting right now, is what is coming up.
Yes.
Is we do have to learn how to create that self-respect, those boundaries while also being there for other people and the community. Yeah, I don't
Yes.
know. That's just really
Yeah.
all the astrology things in my mind right now are just like lighting up.
Oh, it's so much. Well, and like, I mean, I keep thinking like there's every time I open my mouth and say something, I'm like, but there's so much more to this. Like there's like there are so many other avenues that we can take with all of this because it's all part of the same conversation. And like there are so many ways you can cut this too. Like
Mhm.
again, like different language. We talk about language all the time and
All the time.
how right, like language has been used as a weapon, but it can also be used as a tool, and we can use different language to describe the same things. And like we find ourselves, you mentioned earlier someone, your first bully on TikTok that was like, telling you what was she telling, or what were they telling you?
She was just like, "You're so off, like, NFL's the
Oh
devil,
yeah.
blah, 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 blah." Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is where it's like, okay, people will, and I face this all the time on my page talking about this stuff, like, oh my God. And but you're never gonna make someone who is like looking for you to use their language and reflect back to them like their own comfortability level. You're never going to make them happy when you're stating it in any other way. Like
Mhm.
it can all be the same. Like yes, the NFL can be corrupt and terrible and all these things, and to your point, it has a way of, these games have a way of bringing people together in a way that a lot of other things don't. And so it's like, okay, yeah, everything exists on a spectrum of potential. Here's one side of it, here's the other.
Yeah.
Right, like I had someone really really coming at me the other day for talking about, like, this was when I was talking about the extraterrestrial stuff and like
Mhm.
Galactic Federation of Worlds, like all these things that you and I have been talking about. And she was really just like, if you're not talking about Palestine and Israel, like this is fucked up. Like she like would not, she actually came at me so much that she was like, I actually thought I blocked you, so I'm honestly surprised that I'm even seeing you on my page. And I was like, and the fact that you took the time to comment this again instead of just blocking me again, like, also we're talking about these are all parts of the same conversation. Like I'm doing what's authentic to me and the wording and the language that's authentic to me. And I'm not negating anything that you're saying here. I'm just highlighting it from a different angle. This is through the lens of my consciousness. This is just a different angle to take. It doesn't make yours wrong and it doesn't make me wrong that you view this being talked about in a different way. So I think that's a bigger conversation too.
Absolutely, and, like, I know that we do not support a genocide and killing of a mass country. If you look at your page, I could assume you would know immediately, like, you don't support
Yeah.
mass killing and genocide, and it should be stopped now.
Right.
And I just got goosebumps
Yes.
because where what I'm
It's
realizing, okay, this
absurd.
is so left turn, but I just feel like I have to say it because I do think this is an important topic that we shouldn't shy away from. Now that
Hmm.
I brought up, I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
how much we as America, and maybe it's just me. I know people are probably gonna be like, I already knew this, but I did not. We are working for, I believe, Israel because we have bent the
America
knee.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we are the
Hmm.
muscle.
Yes. Yep.
And I had no idea until this came out. And a lot of people have been saying that they knew, but I didn't. I probably because I'm privileged and I didn't deep dive into those things. But now that I'm seeing it, it's whoa. Like
Yeah.
that
It's
is,
crystal clear.
yeah. Yeah.
And
I shouldn't
I
say
mean,
Israel,
think
I
about
should
it.
say the leaders, right? Because it's not the people. They
Yeah.
just had the largest protest that they've had since the war began. All the people went to the streets. It was beautiful, and they're standing up. And I feel for those, everyone in those
Yes.
countries. But yeah, the leaders.
I mean, it's true. And that's, we can see it all over like Christian nationalism. I mean, it's the rhetoric that's being pushed out, the narrative that is, it's the controlled narrative. This has really been kind of orchestrated behind the scenes for longer than I think we can even wrap our minds around or fathom. Um, I mean, there's so much the reason I'm like, how far deep do I go into this? Because it goes back to even like how Christianity was formed in the first place and the beings that were involved with this, include like people here, but also not here on earth. I mean, and like what a prayer actually is an interesting topic to explore as well. I
Yeah.
actually talked about this in one of my videos. It's like, which just taking this a different direction, right? But like it's the same kind of umbrella conversation. Witchcraft, the mass genocide of millions of women, like around the world, for multiple, like in multiple ways, using multiple language, which is still very much happening. But if we look at specifically in the United States, what happened with quote unquote witchcraft, practicing sorcery, practicing spells, and it's like you look at what religion does in prayer, and what is a group prayer if not a spell? It's spoken words backed by intention to a higher power.
Mhm.
And that, like, it's, and so it comes down to like, okay, well, what's the language we're using here, and what are we calling this higher power, and what are we calling what we're doing? And I mean, that's like one example, but it does span into what we're exploring here with what's actually going on behind the scenes here, and how America has been the muscle behind what's happening in Israel and religion, and like how they're kind of using Christianity as a scapegoat. And this plays into what we've talked about too with the return of Jesus Christ, the return of the man, the savior, rather than
Absolutely.
the Christ consciousness that is inherent within each of us and our own potential.
Oh, it's so everything is so interconnected.
Everything is.
And
Hmm.
I saw this person I follow name that, again, names, Maxwell, whatever her name is.
Hmm.
Jeffrey Epstein's,
Ghislaine.
thank you.
Hmm.
How her dad was an Israeli intelligence person. And
Oh yeah.
there's a theory that they actually blackmailed all of our politicians through the sex trafficking and through all of the child abuse and sexual abuse that was going on, because they literally have us by a chokehold. I mean, why are the
Yeah.
politicians not standing up? And they put it on Christian, like, religion. Like, it's so mind fucking that when you really see it all, it's like, whoa, there's so much blackmail, there's so much bypassing, there's so
Hmm.
much let's just put it on religion, even though church and state are supposed to be separate. Like, it never has
They're
been. I don't
not.
know.
What?
It's
Yeah,
just
exactly. I was just gonna say, when has it ever been separate?
like, it's just so wild. And I also learned, to your point about witchcraft, is like, when they were killing women, it was a lot of widowed women whose husbands died and they
Owned
owned
land.
land.
Yes, it was the women who owned the land. Yep, exactly. 100%. Like the forms of control, I mean, across the board, slavery, obvious, like there's so much to this. I mean, and the fact that this is, again, like we're going all over the place here, but I love it because it's all connected. It's like, how many dots can we connect here? Slavery is still written into um the amendment, right? Like it's still like, it's, I don't know exactly what the wording is. It's something like free labor is allowed as long as it's done by prisoners. Like prisoners can do free labor. And so it's like, okay, well, how do we classify a prisoner now?
Yeah.
Who are we placing in the concentration camps in America? Who, like, what is, I mean, how, the fact that like people, I know more and more people are connecting these dots and seeing this, but for the most part, the controlled narrative has succeeded in keeping people asleep to this, like to all of it. Like there are people that know this, what we just, like that part of it. There are people that know the witchcraft part. There are people that see very clearly Israel, what is really happening with Israel and Palestine and America's role in this. But and then like the extraterrestrial component piece of this too. Like there are people who see these niches, but for us to be able to tie all of this together and really bridge all of this as this is one system that was implemented to control a specific narrative, to control the populations in a very specific way. And yes, it also ties into capitalism, patriarchal society, to big pharma, Western medicine, corporate. Like everything.
It's everything.
Yes.
To keep us
Government, politics. Yes. Yes.
controlled. And I mean, oh, what was I gonna say? To your point, I mean, it is everything. And I think this is where people get really overwhelmed. Is it's like it's this and it's this and it's this
Yes.
and it's this. And that is devastating. It's scary and it's
It's
sad. There's a
shocking.
lot of grief of like my whole perception of reality is based
Yeah.
on control and fear and looking
Yes.
a lie.
Yes. It's a lie. And I think that's where you and I talk about this on every episode, pretty much about how the ontological shock that is happening on a mass
Yes.
scale. And that will continue to happen the more people realize the extent of how much we have been lied to. I mean, all of these institutions are corrupt, all of them.
And I mean, the last time Uranus was in Gemini was literally during the Holocaust. Like, we are in modern day civil war. ICE just shot at a man yesterday in LA. So we are in a civil war, whether you want to call it whites, like,
And it
whether
won't
you
be
want to call it
televised.
red versus left, white
Hmm.
nationalist, but
Hmm.
we are in it. And people are seeing it just because which people won't be seeing it come September because TikTok, I sent you that video. Did you see it? Of the new guidelines?
I did. Yeah. The guidelines. Yeah. It's
Yeah, like they
insane.
won't be
That's why.
showing any of that anymore.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Of
we're in
course.
it and it's repeating itself. And I firmly, firmly, firmly believe because we are making the connections of everything and because people are waking up, this will be the time that we break the loop. But I did see an interesting thought of someone being like, they knew that the mass awakening was coming. So that is
They
why
knew.
New Age
Hmm.
spirituality has been so distorted because they knew we were all going to wake the fuck up. And I was like,
Well,
oh,
and those are the plants that, like, I know we're like kind of wrapping up here, but this is the perfect kind of segue into the conversation about where you mentioned Project Blue Book, or like people call it Project Bluebeam. And
okay, yeah.
I mean, this is where like the new age warped, like kind of manipulated control comes in with channelers, even, who have kind of been like infiltrated in terms of like psychological warfare, like or psychological operations taking place to like fit a control narrative, to fit a false narrative. And this is where like the false alien invasion comes into play of like, okay, now like it's like all going according to plan. Like they knew how to manipulate mass consciousness from a long time ago. They have looking glass technology. Like this exists on our planet. And so they know the momentum that gets created and generated on a mass consciousness level within the collective unconscious, right? And so they know where we're going. So they know, and they also know that quantum time isn't linear. So they know they can, with looking glass software, looking glass technology, they can go to different points in time and kind of manipulate the consciousness at that moment in time. And they can infiltrate, they can plant seeds, like you and I were talking about earlier, to control to fit their narrative. I mean, here's the thing. The point is, it's too late. Like we've already won this. We're doing it. But that doesn't mean that they're going down without a fight. And so there are all of these last desperate clinged attempts to hold on to the control over the mass consciousness. And that's really what this is about. It's a war on life force energy. It's a war on consciousness. Because as long as they can keep us locked in lower states of consciousness, they can keep us under control. They can keep us in fear. They can keep us adhering to whatever narrative is presented to us if we're not free thinking, which we've never been taught to be free thinking. Think about the moment we were placed in school. We were indoctrinated into a certain way of learning information and retaining information. We were taught to read books. We were taught not to question authority. I mean, you see how all this is like, it's all scripted.
Full circle moment
Yes.
too of like coaching, work hard, learning at school.
Yes,
this is how you
full
learn.
circle.
Like, literally everything from the day we were born, even getting born in a hospital with fluorescent lights as you come into this earth in a cold room, like we're
stamped
meant
with
to
a
be,
social.
like it is literally all connected in this conversation, which you've been saying it's all connected, but it's I mean, this is where truly everything is a mirror. And when you can
That's
conceptualize and
everything.
embody that everything is a mirror, your life shifts. Because when I get
Yes.
triggered and I'm fighting with my husband, it's like, shit, what's inside of me? Like it's all a
Yeah.
mirror. And so if I'm out in
Yeah.
public and I watch it, like if I'm watching the news, okay, that's being mirrored something in my psyche. Like everything is a mirror, even to our conversations. It's fascinating.
And it's fascinating. And I think, I mean, that's what I feel so passionate about. And what I'm doing and whatever it is I'm stepping into is like bridging this, right? Like we like bridging the realms. It's like, how do we make this conversation bridged across the board? Like we're stitching the fabric of all of this. We're tying the threads together to come back to our own sovereignty and our own empowerment of what we're really capable of and what the world that we're actually capable of creating, which starts within us first. Right. And so, like, I think when people can start to realize, like, I don't have any, there is nothing to fear because this, I get to choose, I'm choosing my own inner world and I'm helping to create the version of Earth, the version of life that we're aligning to. I
Yeah.
have all the power in me as the creator here. And
Yeah.
I think that like this is, and to your, I mean, to your earlier point about like how much grief there is in this, there's so much. I mean, when I was contacted by my guides, I went through a crisis. Like it was a crisis because I was learning about all of this and the extent of how much we have been lied to. And frankly, if I hadn't been doing all the inner work that I had been doing up until that point after the death of my partner, um, I would not have been prepared or ready like for this information
Yeah.
because it came in like a lightning bolt.
When I'm thinking about to how we're talking about the victim mindset or the beliefs
Yeah,
and learning about this when you're still in that belief system will knock people off their entire center
it
because
will.
it's going to reinforce the world's out to get me. It's going to reinforce that
Mhm.
everyone is bad. It's going to reinforce all these really hard belief systems that maybe they were formed at childhood as abuse because your parents didn't take care of you. Whatever it is, it's going to
Yeah.
reinforce that because they have not been able to step out and see it from a different perspective because of maybe it's the neighborhood that they grew up in. Maybe it's the
Hmm.
addiction that's fed to them
Exactly.
because of the neighborhood they're in. It's so systematic. Like in America, can't speak for other countries, but there's more liquor stores per capita in Black neighborhoods. Like they intentionally keep populations in this
They
loop in
do.
really sadistic ways to
Yes.
continue to feed it and to continue to keep that gap and white nationalists in power. Um,
Hmm.
ugh,
Exactly. I mean, it's all by design. And so I think that's where we come in is okay, how can we talk about this in a way where people can relate to the conversation in some way, shape, or form, have a few dots connect for them, a puzzle piece here and there. But to also just remember, we are not alone in this. And it can feel deeply isolating when you're having these realizations and the people in your life aren't really on the same page. And so how can we come home to the fact that like yes this like there are people who aren't prepared for this and that is okay, and you have support. Like there are people here who have been going through this, who are ready to hold you, who are ready to walk this with you.
mm,
And like that's really what we're doing here is we are here for each other. It's I always say the Ram Dass quote, like we're all walking each other home, but like that's really what is going on here. I mean, it's
it's
we need all the lighthouses we can have because things are getting darker.
and then I know you've seen this. I think we might have slightly touched on it last episode, but the amount of people that are ready, whether they're already here, like you and I were talking about it, or their soul is craving it. Like that one coaching client who's like, I'm doing this, then I'm going to become an astrologer through your
Yep.
courses. Like, I'm ready. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hell yeah, because the world needs as many people right now to be walking
Yep.
that path to understand the language, the codes, all of it to help guide.
Yes.
Like if you're feeling this pull, it's because you have signed up for this and it is time. And this
Yes.
flip
Well,
season, it is now. Like it is now.
I feel like this is like you're giving a trailer to a movie and you're like, and this eclipse season, it's on.
I know it's like a war call right now. Like we got this.
But it's so true. I mean, in my sessions that I have with clients, like my goal is always to bring you back to you. Like it's usually an affirmation of your intuition was spot on. I'm just here to reflect back to you in a really magical way that you were right. And you can trust your higher consciousness. You can trust your intuition. Your guides are communicating with you, and you are meant to walk this path and take this leap of faith and whatever it might be, right? For your specific situation. But like, that's where I feel so, that's my why is
Mm.
like driving you back to your own sense of empowerment and embodiment. I'm not doing the work for you. I'm pointing you back to you in a way that proves to you that you were right this whole time, and then to send you off on your merry way. Like we're not meant to do this alone, right? And I have people come to me that are like, I feel like I should be more like I can't believe I have to see someone like they're like in the nicest way. Like I can't believe I have to see someone like you to, like tell me, about my path. And I'm like, I understand that because I've dealt with the same thing, but let's normalize asking for help. Let's normalize like the fact that I'm here to help you. I'm here to be this guide for you. I also have my guides. And like we're not meant to do this alone. We're meant to be helping each other with this. So this
Absolutely.
eclipse season, get ready.
I was gonna
Get ready
say,
to
let's
go.
maybe we wrap up with the astrology.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Um, yeah. Okay. It's just funny in our conversations. I'm like, oh my God, I could go down that path and
I
new age,
know.
but I'll stop. We'll talk about the astrology. Okay. So what's so fun is we have 2 new moons in Virgo this Virgo season, which is pretty rare to have 2 new moons. And so if you're a Virgo rising or if have it in the okay, let me pause. If you're a Virgo, sun, moon, rising, there we go. Or if you have Virgo in the 10th and 4th house, this is a really big time for you, or 7th house. A lot of shifts are coming because those are angular houses. Now, for everyone, it's eclipse season. So eclipse season brings fated events. It's a time in your life where you allow spirit to guide you, and more than ever for this one because it's in Pisces. The North Node is in Pisces, and Pisces is literally this archetype of trusting spirit. So this first new moon is not an eclipse. It is just a new moon. And so what I'm feeling with the clients I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing, what Marston is experiencing is how I'm feeling this one is we are rededicating ourselves because new moons are replanting seeds. We're rededicating ourselves to alignment of walking the path of service, of routine, of taking care of the mind, body, soul, and not really knowing exactly where we're going. So, this seed that we're planting, I feel like, is more of this is my desires. This is what I'm being called for. This is how I want to restart my life. It's kind of like a reset code of do more broad. Then we're going to have the lunar eclipse on September 7th, which is a full moon in Pisces, which is on the North Node. And while on lunar eclipses we release, it's a full moon. It's a culmination moment. It's also on the North Node. So we're moving towards this moment in time where we are in full trust. We're going to get a lot of downloads. We're going to see a lot of things clearer because Pisces is delusion and illusion and shadow, but it's also dreams and it's also intuition and it's also spirit of other realms. Like, oh, I am connected. I am seeing things. I'm seeing how it's all interconnected, which is what Pisces is,
Mhm.
the web of the universe. And so I think this is going to go 2 ways. I really do believe there's going to be a shadow aspect of this lunar eclipse. This is going to be the time where either you deepen the illusion or you're going to start the existential crisis we've been speaking about because everything's open. Saturn's back in Pisces, Neptune's about to be back in Pisces. There's so much Pisces energy that it's going to be like, oh my God, what is happening? So then we have a solar eclipse, a new moon in Virgo that next in the 2 weeks after that. And it's at the 29 degrees. So the first one's 0, the next one's 29. These are just very important degrees. And so I feel as even if the eclipse season, you're feeling unstable, if you're feeling ungrounded, if you're like, what the fuck is happening in my life? That last eclipse is kind of the bookend of being like, it's okay. We are going to know the detail by then, maybe not details, but you're going to have more clear dreams. You're gonna have more understanding of where you're going, and that's the new moon that you are literally like it's more detailed. Does that make sense? Like this first new moon is more of a reset. This is what I want. Then you're gonna open yourself up for that month, and then it's oh no, this is the details that Virgo loves. That's how I'm kind of seeing this unfold because I do think that lunar eclipse is going to be very intense for people.
I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. I was just pulling up my own birth chart because I mean, I know, but it's like to look at it and be like, oh my God, this is just crazy. Because it makes so much sense. Like I was just telling Lauren today about what I was just feeling going on in my life and like the things that are coming to me. And she's like, you are literally preparing perfectly for this new moon in Virgo. And I think, yeah, you explained that so beautifully. So I think it's important for people just to remember, like, when things feel chaotic and when you feel like you're out of your skis, to remember that there is cosmic validation for that. And like there, and that's what I call this, cosmic validation, because like there is a reason for this. And to also know again, like you're not alone, right? Like there are things happening across the board here, and they'll present in your personal life in a way that might be different than your friends, but like I just think it's really cool to know like we all have different like ways that these are hitting our different houses. These are like these energies are prominent in everyone's life, so everyone's going to be like experiencing something intense and amazing and breakthrough oriented, but also like probably pretty chaotic too.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what sign it is in, eclipse season is chaos because it's realigning. How
Yeah,
I see it is there's more light coming down. People call it the portal of eclipse season. It's literally like
yeah,
think about all this light getting pushed and we're opening and it's like, "Oh my god, my body has to like recalibrate to this new frequency coming down." And so a
yeah.
lot of the times it's funny, bookings always spike during eclipse season
Oh,
because
I'm sure.
yeah, fading events happens. Deaths a lot. Souls are eclipsed, literally eclipsed out of the realm. Um, we have marriages, we have divorces, we have job losses because the soul is going, like, I'm picking you up and I'm putting you on another timeline. This is the time. And it allows, because of the way that the rhythm is in the sky with the north and the south node, it allows us to do it on a faster rhythm. And
Yeah.
there's in 2020 we had 3 eclipse seasons, which is super rare. So it happens twice a year. So it's not like this is rare. Usually it's twice, sometimes it's 3. And that's why I love eclipse season is because I can say it's the most powerful time without a shadow of a doubt in everyone's lives. And it's like and that's why if you have eclipses in the signs of the 1st, 7th, 4th, or 10th, that's your career, that's your home, it's your love, it's yourself. Those are so powerful. I've got married, eclipses in my 7th. My it's just really fun to track because I just see it time and time again.
Wait,
I
and what? Okay, in the first, fourth, seventh, or 10th is what you said, right? For Virgo.
Mhm. Mhm. Or
Okay,
Pisces. Mhm.
or
Because it's that
Pisces.
axis.
Oh
Um,
yeah, because I have both Virgo in the first and Pisces seventh.
yes, because
Wow.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you right now are really focusing okay, so this is a little bit more in depth. So Virgo is where the south node is right now. And wherever the south node is what we are releasing. It's kind of that stagnant energy that we've relied too much on and we need to release. And so if you think about the Virgo archetype, it is an earth sign. We have really relied on the details. We've really relied on trying to be perfect and making sure everything is right. And honestly, to
Yep.
some people, that's created procrastination because you're like, well, it's not perfect, I can't do it. Or other people have worked way too hard to create this perfectionism in them. It
Mhm.
creates shame and guilt. That Virgo energy, well, I'm not perfect. And then you spiral, whether it's then you're overactive and you're cleaning all the time and you're obsessive or you're underactive and you literally have just given up, right? So everyone's going to express it very differently, but most people have this archetype within them in some form. And so right now is the time that we are releasing that and we are really embodying Pisces. Pisces archetype is flow. Pisces, because this is where the North Node is, this is what we're learning to embody right now. It is trust, it is unity, it is consciousness, understanding that we are all interconnected from the same source energy. It's reminding us of that. So as we
Mhm.
release this perfectionism perspective, this ability that we need to be so rigid and in control of everything, we are
Yeah.
moving towards that flow. And we can't abandon Virgo. Virgo is the earth healer. Virgo is the sign that reminds us that our body is the channel to host spirit, which is Pisces.
Mhm.
So we have to have both. It's a recalibration, but it's releasing the toxicity that Virgo can bring and really embodying Pisces and releasing the shadow of Pisces of illusion and delusion. And to be honest, you said this one of the first times we talked. We are in a collective psychosis. We are releasing
Yeah.
the delusion of everything we
Mhm.
talked about today of working hard, just like everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
realizing we can just flow. And that's
Mhm.
the soapbox for the eclipse energy.
It's amazing. You're amazing. This is incredible. I'm so excited. And like this, we're going to keep doing this and talking about this. And like, just for anybody listening, we're with you. We are right there with you through
We're
all of
so
this.
excited to see what's
Yeah.
to unfold. I mean, this is the only eclipse season we have both of them in Virgo and Pisces. So it's major and they know that. So keep an eye
Hmm.
out because they know
And
that
they
this
know
is
that.
not, they have astrologers just
Yeah.
like Taylor Swift. It's funny. You sent me that Taylor Swift TikTok. I posted
Yeah.
my friend here. She's a Swiftie. Never really like followed her. And she was like, girl, it's all astrological. It's all numerology. And I was like, wait, what? That's why she's a billionaire because she uses the
Well, that's JP Morgan himself said this quote. I'll never forget. This is like
yeah.
when I was working on Wall Street. I remember reading, and like the people in my industry were like, that's bullshit. And I was like, no, this is true. JP Morgan said, millionaires don't believe in astrology, but billionaires do. Like this has been written on the walls. They've been telling us this. Hello, here we go. Time to wake up.
Time to wake up and we're all gonna
So,
ready or not, eclipse season doesn't give a fuck. Like the universe doesn't give a shit if you're ready.
ready or
If your
not, here we
soul
come.
if your soul said, I'm doing it, you're gonna be doing it. Even
So
though
go
we
ahead
have
and
free will,
buckle. Yeah.
I honestly believe this is actually maybe like, I don't think it's controversial. This is just what I believe. I do believe watching eclipse seasons, yes, you have free will, but if it's in your birth chart, there's almost this unconscious agreement that comes out and it happens. Like it's kind of crazy.
Hmm. So I think this is something we should talk about. Let's write this down to talk about in our next episode because I have some really cool mediumship experiences about that, what you just said.
Free
About
will versus
unconscious soul
free.
agreements and free will and what my guides have told me. There's a lot to explore there. But I'm not going to do it now because we'll never
Yeah.
finish.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's always so fun chatting and gabbing with you.
I know, I love you. This is amazing. Oh my God. Okay. Well, we have so many directions that we want to go in for next time too. But as always, like let us know if you guys have any thoughts, questions, suggestions. If you're listening on Spotify, I put a poll out. So like feel free to take that poll. We're always open. Like we want you to feel like you're a part of this conversation with us.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna figure out how to like post more on YouTube. I've never explored it, but it kind of seems like it's almost a little bit Facebooky. Like we can post like a status. And so maybe that's a good way.
Interesting.
Yeah, I saw it the other day and I was like, okay, maybe this is like a good way for us to really interact. Yeah, images, polls, text, quizzes. So I don't know. We'll be exploring this channel more. Marcia and I
Yeah.
both are in very interesting times in our business, which is we did not know each other at this point, but you started posting in April, correct?
Late April. Hmm.
Late April. I went full-time astrology mid-April.
Oh my
And
God.
we are both at this precipice of kind of understanding the vision of where our careers are going. And you have your book read, and I'm launching like
Hmm.
into the astrology courses and healing course modalities, right? So it's like we know where our souls are taking us. And so this is so fun for us to curate creation energy while simultaneously we have a lot of shit going on in the background. So
Yes.
it's
Oh, it's
fun.
so cool. And we're all like quite literally we're doing it live. Like we are doing this with you guys. We're doing it together. Like it's so cool. We're all here along for the ride together and we'll continue to share updates as we go, but we're building something. This is really what we're building is really really cool. It's really amazing. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being a part of it with us.
And if you're interested in the retreat, drop a comment and we'll reach out to you.
Yes. I can't wait.
Awesome.
Okay,
Well, we will
thank
see you guys
you.
next week.
Bye guys.